But how's all my people doing out there? Hope all is well. And again, we're back here trying to do it again for another one. So I appreciate y'all. I appreciate all of the likes, the subscriptions, and all of that. So kudos to Keke Palmer and her acceptance speech. And yeah, one thing you know about people from Chicago, they're gonna always tie in that unity thing. That make sure you remember it's about us. It ain't about you just getting to the top and forgetting about everybody else. But she appreciates being able to celebrate this award with the culture. Again, I mean, anybody from Chicago know, you know, from all the 70s, the 80s, the 90s babies, either your grandparents or your parents was involved in that freedom movement. So the freedom movement, if I can spit it out, in Chicago was a big deal. So and we all got that in our background. Like I said, either our parents or our grandparents, and who fought and was at it in the 60s and 70s to try to improve housing, schooling, education, job opportunity, and basically to try to desegregate and cut all of the racial discrimination out. So that was a big thing. But yeah, kudos to Keke Palmer. I appreciate her speech, and that's what it's about. It ain't all about just us. You know what I'm saying? When I say us, you, I'm talking about yourself. It ain't always just about you. It's about making sure you understand we're doing this thing together as a people. And not, it's okay for you to shine, but just remember, you know, you're going to be better off. And I always say, even like as a manager and team management and all of that stuff, you're only as good as the people that's underneath you on how you bring them up. So you get them right, they're gonna help boost you up to where you need to be to help teach. So that's what it's about. All right. So that's my take on that.
Oh my gosh! Guys, I didn't think I was gonna win because girl, you killed that role. You kill every role you do. I mean, your power, your vulnerability, your strength, you are exceptional. Cynthia. Obviously, Shannon, my hunky unky, you know, I love you, Bookie. And Kendrick and Kevin, I mean, it's such an amazing category to be in with all these people. It is a beautiful night. I mean, it's Black History Month, y'all. But I just want to say it's so important that we all come here together and celebrate one another with one another. So often, you know, I was with Anjanou Ellis at the ABFF event a few nights ago, and she said something that I think is so important that, you know, you don't always have to ask at a seat at nobody's table. Just make your own table with your folks. You know what I'm saying? I've been in this industry for 20 years. Nobody has uplifted me more than you all, the people in this room. I remember when Aquila and the Bee first came out and it didn't do well in the theaters, and it was when it became available on DVD that you all made it the classic that it is. And so, while we continue to ask for more money, because we need that, it's important that we remember that what we choose and what we deem as important is enough. And that's all I want to say. And I'm just so grateful to the NAACP for allowing me the honor to be on this stage and accept this, to be with all of you tonight. God bless y'all. And just thank you.
But yeah, it's the sooner we can realize that it ain't about us going back and forth in the culture against each other. It's about us trying to work together. And if I ever come on my channel and say something about you, it ain't creating beef, and it definitely ain't for likes or any type of exposure. I come from a background where I believe if I see something's not right, and especially if I think it has an effect on the culture, like I see people talking about Angel Reese down and her sister. It's enough people out there that don't look like us that's down on her, so we don't need you talking about her at the same time. Same thing with the Kendrick Lamar halftime show. It's enough people out there that don't look like us that was dogging Kendrick Lamar about his performance, about um, Serena Williams and all of that. So if I see that, I'm gonna speak on it. It ain't about. Um, it's not about trying to see um, dogging other people's character. I ain't about here getting on here bashing people. I'm about trying to correct the wrong and trying to make sure the culture's right and has some substance and can move and work together. So that's it. So if you ever hear me discuss your name, look at it in content and see what I'm talking about. It ain't just because I'm hating on you. It's because I'm trying to get it right. Look, we got to stop all of that.
Pick him up! Time out. Get over here. If any man on this team falls down, you sprint and you pick him up. The great coach Jason Gillespie. So let me give you a little bit of background before you think that I'm crazy. My entire life, I've been playing basketball. Little league, middle school, high school, college, even some international. But the most influential coach I've ever had throughout the years was Coach Jason Gillespie. See, I played at a school called Bluefield College, little small school about 45 minutes outside of Virginia Tech. But even though we were a small school, we had a lot of nationally recognized accolades. We led the nation in scoring. We beat 3 Division I teams my senior year, went to Auburn, almost beat Auburn. And if anybody follows basketball, they know that big teams like Auburn call little teams like Bluefield so they can beat them, drag them up there and beat them by 40 points.
And also, one thing I was always taught is sometimes you got to look on the inside. So if somebody's coming at you and saying you or mentioning your name, again, look at it in the content, context, however you want to look at it, and see, kind of look back and think about what you said or what you're doing or what it, how it may affect the culture. So, that was one thing, like I said, I've always learned and been taught. Sometimes you got to look on the inside. And if somebody giving you some feedback or some criticism, then hey, maybe take that to the heart. Don't take it don't get too much in your feelings about it. But I understand you want to keep it moving, but sometimes you got people out here doing content on YouTube that's actually trying to make a difference and trying to get stuff right. So everybody ain't out here for the same thing. So obviously, uh, you know, money, fame, all of that stuff coming in. But if you got a purpose and you're trying to do good out there and you're trying to make things right, I mean, I've said this before. I've done volunteer work many times. So guess what I'm getting out of volunteer work? It ain't money. It definitely ain't money. So that's just where I'm trying to get at. And take it as that. Sometimes you got to take it as that. If you hear somebody talking or mention your name, take it as what it is. And then, like you said, maybe you can sit down and have a discussion with that person, and everybody can try to get it right. But we in this struggle together. We in this culture together. We got Mr. Trump, DEI, Elon. Put those three in one sentence, and you know what I'm talking about. So you're just doing your own research and homework. You know what I'm talking about. So this whole election thing showed us a lot. So that's where we at with that. If we're gonna have constructive criticism and feedback back and go back and forth, it ain't a beef. Let's try to get it right and get on the same page and understand we in this struggle together, my people. I know my people like to get up to the top and forget about the ones behind it, but that's not what it's about. When you get up there to the top and you start getting all of that fame, now it's time for you to start reaching back. Start reaching back and bringing others in, all right? So that's where we at with that. But it's always good with talking with you all. I appreciate the listeners and the platform. It's something. The platform to me is everything because, like I've mentioned this before, I come from a family of teachers and motivators and so forth. So they've done works trying to motivate youth. Uh, you know, what do you call it? Motivational speakers. So sometimes it ain't always about you. So take it that way when you hear somebody mention your name. All right? Okay. Let's keep it moving here.
That we've done to our downtown and riverfront areas. It's huge. So I'm like, what if we created a culture of selflessness? What if the city did that? How big would that be, right? Think about it. Anybody ever see that movie, Talladega Nights? Raise your hand if you ever see Talladega Nights. Ricky Bobby, Shake and Bake. Woo! I love that movie, right? Love it. Ricky Bobby had one main concept. If you're not first, exactly. If you're not first, you're last. But I believe when it comes to the city, it's the complete opposite. I think in order to be first, you be last. You put the people who you work with, the people who you mentor, the people who are your friends, you put them ahead of you. It's like that old saying goes, if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, you take others with you. So what? What if we create a culture of selflessness? Okay, fine. James, I'll buy in. Chattanooga, culture of selflessness. How do we do it, right? Well, first it starts with leadership. Because if Coach Gillespie wasn't the most selfless person on the team in the organization, the players would have never bought in. Doesn't work like that. He first had to be selfless. Also, what if you were at work and you didn't just get bonuses or incentives for your own performance, but you got a bonus or incentive every time you helped out your coworker? You were responsible for their individual performance as well. What kind of culture would that create? What kind of changes will we see happening? But it takes leadership to implement those things. What else? See, I told you guys that we led the nation in scoring, and we also led the nation in offensive rebounds and steals, but I ain't trying to brag. But what I didn't tell you guys is that we led the nation in assists. Nobody was ball hogging. We shared the ball. We put each other in positions to score and to be successful, and everybody had that mindset, right? Has to work the same way for the city. We've got to pass it on. Big deal if we have entrepreneurs or a single entrepreneur who's doing awesome things in this city, but if he holds on to that knowledge and never shares those things with the up and coming entrepreneurs, then what difference does it make? We've got to lead the nation in assists. We've got to pass it on. See, I was very fortunate to be in a program here where they hand selected the top executive directors and CEOs and decision makers. And then by application process, they selected up and coming emerging leaders in the city and they paired us together. Once a month, they took one mentor with 8 different proteges, sat them around the table. And that mentor just poured knowledge into us. He told us how late we had to stay up, how early we had to get up, how much hard work it takes, what kind of connections you need to make. He gave us this information, and by far, it was the best class that I've ever sat in.
I mean, just what an amazing phrase to consider. What does it look like to outdo one another? And for somebody who's competitive like me, that can lead to all sorts of maybe unnecessary outcomes of like, I gotta do better than others and showing honor. No, it's not so much that. It's how do I lay down my life for the sake of others? How do I decrease so that others might increase? How do I put to death my own desires and my own needs so as to best serve the needs and desires of others? Is that when everybody does that, everybody's served, everybody's loved, everybody's needs are taken care of because we're looking outward at each other, and therefore everyone is being acknowledged and everyone's being served, as opposed to looking inward for ourselves where there's only really one person being acknowledged and one person being served, and that's yourself. And this is what community requires. I mean, just what an amazing phrase.
But I appreciate y'all. Always do. So, in summary, if this has been helpful, somewhat insightful, or even entertaining, funny, hilarious, any of that, I appreciate you if you hit that like button, subscribe, and anything you give, I'm good for that. Appreciate y'all. Until we do this again, I'm always say peace. Peace out.